Hi, welcome to episode 14 of season 2 of the Yarnivore podcast. I am Sadie, I will be your host. And my voice sounds off because I have caught a secondary plague. Not sure if I mentioned last week that my husband was acting a little sickly, but by the weekend he had pretty much become full-blown man flu, and I figured it was probably what I had, and I just gave it to him. It wasn't, because whatever it is, I've got it now, and I was not looking forward to that. I had not planned for that. I don't like being sick, and I have now been sick for the entire month of January. No fun. However, it's got to end soon, right? It can't stay around forever. So if I'm a little congested or I sound a little ragged, that would be why. I've also got my Gatorade. Actually, I've got my low-calorie G2 going on, which I will probably be drinking intermittently because it's that or suck on like a Hall's cough candy, and I find that that's more annoying than drinking. And I drink anyway. I know a lot of people don't drink or don't like it when they drink, or the slurping or what, like, I don't care. Whatever. Drinking does not bug me on podcasts. Repetitive ums do, however. I've noticed that. I've noticed I've had to stop watching certain episodes of some of them because there are so many ums and I can't handle it. I'm over it. There you have it. There's my little snark for the week. I can't watch podcasts that have too many ums. Anything else I can deal with. It's just the word I don't know why. Nails on a chalkboard. So shall we start with finished objects? I usually start with finished objects. It makes sense to start with finished objects, and I have two. I feel like I'm a rock star this week because I have two finished objects. Okay, so first up, I have, and I blocked it, because this week I did engineer the plan of I will play Armada if you clean the sink, and it worked. Subsequently, I blocked pretty much all day Sunday, Monday. Yeah, I did 2 days in a row. I think I did Sunday, Monday, or it might have been Monday, Tuesday. I can't remember which day we played Armada, but we did play Armada. Clearly, not so sick, we couldn't play Armada. Which, by the way, I've discovered I can knit while playing, which makes it a lot more enjoyable for me. It is fun. It is fun. It's definitely one of the funner games we have. Funner isn't a word. It's one of the more fun games we have. But it's probably superior because I can knit while I'm waiting for the turns and while I'm watching what's happening. I can't do patterns, but I can knit. Okay, anyway. So, Armada, far better than some of the other games. Like Mansions of Madness or Call of Cthulhu. Both good games, it's just they're way too long without me knitting. So, I finished this. Ta-da! I did apply the, I totally screwed up, FYI. I will completely out myself on this, but when I made the tassels, I didn't follow the directions. I did them like I know how to make tassels, which means that I had to do a double loop to get them on instead of like the magical single loopness that is in the pattern. So, I guess I'm an inferior human being. I don't follow the rules. However, it still looks amazing. So, all my tassels are on. It's been blocked. This is... I had a wee little ball left over. Wee little ball. And I had 526 yards. I'm wagering it's 500 yards. I guess I have to weigh the ball and do all of that junk, but... whatever. I will do that eventually. That is not going to happen while I'm not feeling well, because math and heads don't mix. They don't. It's like having arm extensions. I could wear this out and like hit people with it. That would be rude. And I would never actually do it. But I'm not above getting my husband once or twice with this. Because that would just be funny. Although, I could see a cat getting into that and that would be bad. This is Merino Silk 8020. Handspun, colorway Pandora's Aquarium by the lovely Knitting Color, who's on Etsy and is wonderful, and you should buy lots of stuff from her because then I won't buy it all. It's true. It's a purely selfish move here. Go buy her stuff so I won't. I do love it though. So you can wear it any dang way you really want, but that probably is the way it's meant to be worn. You can have your little poof jauntily. Is it jaunty enough? Could I be jaunty? I like how it knit up. It kind of looks stripy, but not. The longer the repeat gets, because you start at the short end and you knit to the big end, it's kind of like a hitchhiker in that regard. The repeats get progressively shorter until they're, you know, at the long point here, they're almost non-existent. But I do love it. I love it very much. And it will probably get a fair amount of wear in the next month because it's raining cats and dogs. Or hammers and nails, depending on what type of person you are. Yes. Oh, and it may interest you, LK Memphis Lowell, whose husband is a Tom Waits fan and who I've called out before on the podcast, who sent me a lovely pattern, which is crazy and may take me a couple months to get to, but when I lived in Minnesota and my friend came and visited me, my Lily, we actually went to 9th and Hennepin because we could, and she wrote one of her friends who was in England the entirety of Postcards from a Hooker in Minneapolis or something like that. Oh, I always get that song mixed up. Postcard from a Hooker in Minneapolis. Something to that effect. Wrote it all down and mailed it on, like, it was a postcard of Minneapolis. So, lots of Tom Waits in Minneapolis, apparently, while I was there. Or at least, there were a lot of references, so we drove around and looked at all the references, because that's what you do. When you're me, anyway. That's what you do when you're me. When you're someone else, you probably do other fun things. So that's one of my finished objects, and that's for the SSK Knit Along, the first one, for Rummy Hill. Pattern is Ellipses by Rummy Hill. I believe I used a 4mm needle, which I believe is a US 6. Whatever. And I'm running out of space. What you can't see is that I have no bloody space here. Like where? I'll just throw it over there. And I totally missed my shot. Oh well. Secondly, I have finished the questionable socks. Shall we call them that? This is it's not written on the actual card, but I believe it's the Petite Cauldron, or the Little Cauldron, which is Le Petite Chanson, or something similar to that. I'm probably screwing it up horribly, and Moira will definitely get to correct me in her next podcast, who, by the way, told me how to say this and what it means. So you know. If you watch her podcast, you already know. If you don't know French or can't comprehend it, because I can't really speak it back to people, but I can kind of understand it for the most part. So, although I shouldn't have watched the episode right before bed, because that made me really confused, and I only understood like 50%. So I have to get better at that, watching it during the day. It's Biscotte et Company. And of course, Biscotte is biscotti. It's the cookie. And company, C-I-E. C-I-E means company. It's like the CO of English. So that's what it means. This is the Felix base, which is 80% superwash merino wool, 20% nylon, which apparently nylon does not have a French equivalent. This is not going to focus for me. I don't think I have autofocus on. I am a subpar podcaster. Whatever. It's blurry. It does say Lane Merino Anti-Futurable. Futurable? I don't know. It's been a while. I think my first year of university was the last time I took a French class. And then 20% nylon. This is what's left over. And so I have another finished pair of socks. This is pair 2 for the 16 and 2016. There are the heels, just to prove they're there. They kind of look like droopy nipples. No way around it, that's just how they look. Just how they look. Pair 2. Which is good. Ironically enough, or maybe I'm using ironic improperly, but I was discussing with my mother that I should make socks for her because she's got tiny feet. She has women's 7.5, I believe. Well, between 7 and 7.5, depending on if they're wide or not, which is the equivalent of a European 38, I believe, because whatever size Tracy is, she's the same size as my mom, as is my mother-in-law. It's like the most common size. So I am significantly bigger. I am a 9.5 wide or a 10, depending. So I have huge feet. So it's like a 42. I want to say a 42 or a 44. I don't know. I do have shoes that have European, the Allegra. Allegra is a cold medication. Algeria. I have Algeria shoes, and they're in UK sizes, but I didn't get them out to look. However, I think it's a 42. Phlegm. Anyway, I was talking with my mother about how I should pad my numbers by making her socks, and she's like, yes, because my favorite pair just sprung a hole. Okay. You'll see where I'm going with this story, and this story is very important because it's a humorous one. And I said, okay, what pair is it? And she goes, it's a stripy pair. Okay. I knit you a lot of stripy socks. That just does not help me. She goes, it's one of, like, your really old pairs. Like, one of the first pairs you knit. And it's like, holy crap, that's an old sock. And so I was like, okay, well, what color are the stripes? I thought, maybe it's in my Ravelry. No, not in my Ravelry. She goes, they're brown and blue? I was like, brown and blue? I like blue too much. There's no way I knit you socks brown and blue. So she goes, okay, fine. She goes and gets the offending sock with the hole in the toe, which she has worn through. While she's, saying, this is the yarn I like because it fits my foot right with this heel, and it doesn't shrink when I wash it, and it doesn't stretch too much. It's been a perfect sock. I can throw it in the washing machine, I can throw it in the dryer, nothing changes. I want more out of this yarn with this heel. Okay. So she shows me the sock, because we're FaceTiming, right? I have knit all kinds of things for this woman. She holds up a freaking pair of patent Croy. It's a good thing I've got some in stash, but it was just kind of funny. Like, of all the socks you could make me knit for you, I've knit her, like, sea-cell socks, bamboo socks, like, every kind of sock, and her favorite is the patent Croy. They are hard wearing, though. I just thought that was interesting. It's like, no MCNs for my mummy. She wants the Croy. And she will get the Croy. Subsequently, she picked out 2, and those are going to be pretty easy because she got tiny feet. Okay. So those are my 2 finished objects. And now we're moving into works in progress. I have not started the Croy socks, although I am going to knit them on wooden needles because I was watching, I believe I was watching the Knitting Expat, who I'm almost completely caught up on, and she said she switched to wood because her hands had started hurting, so she switched to wood because it hurt less, and I thought, I should try that. My hands hurt, yes, but I do so much crafting in a day, and I do so much other things with my hands. They're kind of like I use them a lot. There's no way around it, so if I can give them some ease because I'm using wooden needles, then, well, damn it, I'm going to switch to wooden needles for socks. I think all I have are DPNs. I have a pair of circulars, but they have the really short tips, and I hate really short tips because I like to grip. I'm a gripper. Ugh. So I'm going to do a pair of DPNs. I'm going to do Patton's Crayon DPNs and see how that works. It works in progress in my Seashore Sharon bag. Actually, I have 2 Seashore Sharon bags I'm working with right now, and I love them and they're superior. Subsequently, this is also a sock yarn you can't get a hold of anymore, but you can probably find some on D-Stash. It's Soft Like Kittens, the double helix sock base in prototype 152, also known as bug yarn. This is the Comet sock by Stephanie van der Linden. I showed you before. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. Stick my hand in so you can kind of see the lace, because I didn't bring the blocker over, and quite frankly, it's not a finished sock. Why would I put it on a blocker? You can see the lace there with the little cable. It is really easy to memorize. It's lovely. I am knitting it on a 2.25mm needle, which I believe is a US one. They're Chiagus. They're the Chiagus when the Tuesday Morning had them for like ridiculously cheap, and I went and bought like one of every size that they had, and then I bought extra ones because that's what I used to knit socks on. And the pattern is written for a short row heel, but I didn't want to do it. And it's got like the German, you wrap it around and then you do something special and the holes don't show thing. And so I wasn't going to do that, especially not under the influence of Canadian cold and sinus medication. The superior cold and sinus medication, which I'm also told is hard to get in New Zealand, which does make sense as to why I have supplied Kiwis with it when they're visiting. So I did the gusset. I like a gusset heel. Gusset heels fit me. I like them. I did 2.5 repeats. It's actually quite a long repeat. It's close to 30 stitch repeats. So, and then I figured, what the hey, I'll do it for a little bit more because I really love this yarn. I love the colors of this yarn. I do. So the first sock, I'm almost done decreasing for the gusset. This is pair 3 I cast on, I want to say, for 16 socks in 2016. And I urge you to go join the Passionate Knitter Ravelry group because there's prizes and stuff, which is awesome. Just saying. Another work in progress that you have seen that I will fork out. Schmutz. There's schmutz. In my Frida Kahlo Fast Scroll Fiber bag, I have my lovely David Bowie tribute socks, which are out of, which the yarn was sent to me by a lovely friend of mine who is awesome. It is the Toil and Trouble colorway, 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, 420 yards, Cloud Lover. Aww. So I divided them up so that I could use up everything, and here's the one I'm using. Sadly, I did the heel and I had to rip it out because it was a little too short. But I have passed the heel now. I am using the pattern Labyrinth, which is, I believe, made for sport weight yarn. I thought this was like a heavy fingering to a light sport weight, so I could get away with doing that one, and this was cast on like the day David Bowie passed away, or it was announced, I believe it was the 11th. And so, yeah, they're going along like gangbusters. I, of course, knit quite a bit more than you can see, but I had to rip out the sock and then knit the extra inch on. But I am loving the way it's coming out. I love the colors. I can't wait to have them on my feet. I think what I'm going to do is knit until I would normally start the ribbing, and then I'll put increases in the back for the calf, if necessary. Probably necessary. These could get up to being like knee highs for all I know. I don't know. I'm playing around. This is my first time doing this. These are, I believe, 2.5 millimeter needles. They might be 2.75 millimeter needles. Whatever the pattern calls for, and I don't have the pattern in here. Sorry, I'm a horrible podcaster. But going like gangbusters. These will probably get a lot of work in the next week. The reason the stripy socks got finished is because we were playing Armada, and that was a really, really long game. And then all I could knit was stripy socks. Plus, once you get to a certain point on them, it's like, I could finish these socks, and it would only take me like an hour. So, of course, that's what you do, because you have to finish that. I also got some work on the hubby sweater, which is the Robin hoodie. I don't remember who it's by. I will tell you next week, because this will probably be on next week as well. It is out of Knitter's Nightmare yarn in the Neptune colorway. I've previously explained that that is the hood, and it has a provisional cast on, and here is the sleeves. So essentially, that's how far I've gotten done. Essentially. It's a little bunchy on the needles, but I am getting close to finishing the third repeat, which afterwards you're supposed to join for the neck, but I'm not going to join for the neck. I'm just going to switch. I've been reading some of the pattern pages on Ravelry for it. So yeah, this is supposed to get turned up here, and then this gets wider. So you can have like one of those deep, menacing hoods. I'm sure this looks positively wonderful. I'm going to take this off of my head now. As you can see, I was right. My hair faded out. Now it kind of looks like purple poop. I'll deal with it. I suppose I could go black, because that black is the only thing that's going to hold anymore. So, between these markers, ta-da, is where the raglan increases for the arm go, and then one of these cables will go straight down the arm. But it's basically the exact same cable over and over and over again. So once I have removed the arms and gotten everything back to this cable repeat here, I'm just going to use this chart, because that's what a lot of the Ravelry pages that did it into a zippered hoodie said. And I like that idea. That sounds easy enough. Of course, there is cabling on both sides, so there's nothing easy about this particular thing. I've had to rip out more rows than I can count. It will, however, look amazing, and the hubby will love it, and he will wear it muchly, and that is all that matters to me. Although I really wish he would pick something easy. Like, he's got, like, I think the socks are the easiest thing I'm knitting, and that's only because he's not a big fan of having patterns, because they bug his feet in socks. So I can get away with just knitting the stripy socks, which I have to cast on again, but I'm going to do them on a 0, which means they're going to be hell, and I don't want them to kill my mojo, so I'm just going to keep knitting socks for myself until I feel really ambitious or really tired. Because if I'm really tired and I don't want to follow a pattern, I might be more likely just to knit. That's my theory, anyway. My last work in progress, knitting wise, is a pair I cast on. They are my carbons, which are a 2.25 US 1. I do like the carbons, which are wood with a steel tip, and I don't mind the joy. I've heard both bad and good about the carbons. I like the carbons. I like the carbons. I also like knit picks. Hold on. Back the train up. The Labyrinth socks were on a pair of knit picks and a pair of Prim, because apparently I only got the one knit pick, or I lost the other one, which is far more likely. Far more likely. And these are on 4.5 millimeter needles, US 7 Chiagus, again, from the great Tuesday morning Chiagu phase. If you were on Instagram and you saw that, I'm sure you, of course, went to a Tuesday morning near you and bought up every size you could, because they were so cheap. It was like $2, $2.50, something like that. Like, why not? Why not at that price? So I finished my Biscotte et Company socks, and I needed another pair of socks to knit while playing Armada, because that is apparently the theme. Although this weekend we're going to be playing Machi Koro and Ticket to Ride, I think. I get to call the games this weekend, so they're going to be stuff I like, so I may not be knitting during them, because I like the faster paced ones, or at least the less mental ones, or Gloom Cthulhu. Gloom Cthulhu, the Cthulhu Gloom? The Gloom Cthulhu version. I don't know. Maybe we'll just sushi go, which is was supposed to be better with more people, but it's still fun with the two of us. So I had caked these up ages ago, and I knew I needed stripes, and I didn't feel like having to skein yarn or pick out what stripes to knit, because there is a lot of stripy yarn in my cupboard, some of which is from me, some of which is from everybody else that I buy from, because I love yarn. As you can see, that whole thing is filled with yarn. Just so you know, that's only one side. There's two sides to this. There is one of these, which is filled with, well, okay, at the top is fleece. Here it has some of my husband's model painting stuff and some fabric, and then that box is full of sock yarn. And then we move down here, and there's project bags and fabric. Down here, there's more fleece. This is all sock yarn, and there's two more right beside it, over here, where you can't see. Up here, sweater quantity. Up here, that's where my sewing basket goes. That is primarily, I believe it's my brother's quilts. Yes. And some leftover fabrics, which basically it does the same thing down this side. And then there's another one of these on this side, and it's got acrylics, batting, and then my husband has a shelf or two. So yeah, that's like the yarn mecca. Oh, and then there's the, don't even get me started on the fiber. There's an IKEA thing right here. Okay, there's this bookshelf, and then there's an IKEA cube, the Expedit or whatever, which has like most of my fiber, and then odds and ends. I actually have 3 baskets for odds and ends because I divide them up. This is all hand spun or fiber and hand spun. And I'm going to Madrona in February. Like, that's going to stop me from buying anything. Of course I'm going to buy stuff. It's Madrona. I've never been to Madrona. I'm looking forward to it. I might take I didn't register for any of the classes or the retreat portion, but I might take some mini classes, and I'm going to go to the market either Saturday or Sunday. That's kind of like my Valentine's Day present. That's love right there. Anywho, I didn't want to have to go through the giant basket that is my stripy sock collection and pick one, because it's kind of like Sophie's Choice, because at this point most of them have special meaning. They're either like I got them somewhere special, or someone gave them to me that's special, or, you know, like there's some sort of special tie-in, and I'm way too precious about inanimate objects. That's my problem. But I had already caked these up, and I had caked them up, and I put them in the Seashore Sharon bag, and like, this is old because I was traveling at that point, and I haven't traveled in over a year, basically. So I had caked them up, I had put them in the bag, I had put needles with them, they were all ready to go. So when I was like, okay, I need yarns, I just made the snap decision to grab the bag and go, because I knew then I could just go straight into playing the game, and that's what we did. So here is the sock so far. Ta-da! This is the 3 little crows. I forget the base that this is on, and as luck would have it, I don't have the... Apparently I have cat litter though. That would be Beetle. Beetle likes to deposit cat litter everywhere. This is the It's My Party and I'll Wear Mismatched Socks If I Want To sock set. So you get mismatched coordinating heels and toes. So I'm going to do a heel in one color, a toe in the other on one sock, and then reverse them on the other. And then you get your self-striping, and it's an odd stripe. Let's see. That light purple's getting really blown out, but it is pretty. It's very pretty. So as you can see down here, there's the light, the medium, the true, the dusky, and then the whiny, and then there's a big black block, and it does the exact same thing up here. So I'm really enjoying it. Now that I've knitted a bit, it is a thicker sock yarn. I'm not sure if you can see this. It's even thicker than the 80-20. The 80-20 is really the bouncy, thicker kind. And you know, the 75-25 seems to be more thin. So this one's a little thicker than the 80-20. I probably could have gone down in stitch count and increased my needle size on this, and it would have been fine, because I am getting a really dense fabric. It's a little more dense than I usually get as a 64, but I mean, it's gonna fit me. It might be a little baggy until I throw it in the washing machine, but for the most part, this is gonna fit me. And by the way, for the most part, apparently is my So if that bugs you, I apologize in advance. I can't help it. It will change next month. My words always do. That's as far as I've gotten. I'm pretty proud of that, actually. I think that's good, given that I'm insane. Given my level of sanity, I feel that that is an acceptable accomplishment. And that is the 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th pair of socks I've cast on. 3rd pair of working socks. Socks I am currently working on, and I'm throwing everything down there because I can. Spinning. I've been spinning. I actually spun quite a bit. I know I showed you the bag a couple weeks ago, the bags, and then I showed you the bobbin last week, and then I spun 2 more bobbins, and then I plied the 1st and 3rd bobbin. And I got a whole heaping ton of yarn. Wow, that doesn't look very tightly plied. Most of it is really well plied, some of it is not. I admit, there were times where I could have plied it better. But, there you go. It's gorgeous. And there's 819 yards right here. 819 yards. Because Hanson bobbins are massive. This is actually half of the bobbins. I actually have to ply another half. That's how much there is on here. So, malfunction. I can tell you, I brought the bags over. See, these are all the bags. I brought them over so I could tell you what I mixed together. I did Don't Blink, which is a BFL. I did Moriarty, which is a 60/40 Polworth Tussa Silk. I did Undressed, which is 50/50 Merino Bombyx Silk. Did I care that I was mixing them? Not really. Vampires of Venice, which Polworth. Bootstrap Paradox, which is a 40/20 Superwash Merino Tussa Silk. And Fen, which is an 80/20 Merino. Tussa Silk. So those are the colorways that have gone into the making of my handspun. I'm probably going to do the second ply now that I've got this wound off, because I only have one extra bobbin when I'm doing this, so I had to wind it off. But I also let it sit overnight on the bobbin. I'll probably give it a day as well on the knotty before I take it off and wash it and thwack it, just because I like to give it a day to rest. I'd like a day to rest if I was yarn or fiber. If I was fiber that was spun, I would want a day to rest. And I'm not going to wash and thwack them until all of them are done, so I can do them in a batch, because let's face it, if I do it each time, the last one's not going to get washed and thwacked because we don't want to cast on like that. I know myself. I know myself enough to know that I would just not block it, or I wouldn't wash and set the twist, and then I'd be mad at myself for the entire time I was knitting because it would bug me. I've done it. I'm such an attractive drinker. So, that's my spinning. I'm continuing on with that, and I will continue on with that until it's done. And then once it's done, I will probably cast it on. It's Petrie. I will cast it on immediately. Now, should I do... I'm going to do a quickie book review, because I wanted to throw a book review in here, and then we'll move on to pointy things. This will be a longer episode. I apologize. Fast forward through the book review if you don't like book reviews. However, if you do like book reviews, you should stick around. And if you like pointy things, because hey, everybody likes the crochet, the cross stitch portion. It's not the crochet portion. I'm sorry if I led you to believe that. But I've gotten a couple books to review, and I was super excited about this one, so I figured, and it's been out for a while, so maybe, you know, people need to check this out. And it is, there we go, Color Wheel Knits by Vera Valimaki. I will, my disclaimer, or my one qualm, if I may, is that the sizes for women do not go higher than a 50-inch bust, which usually pisses me off. It does kind of piss me off about this book, because it's like, oh, why? Why did you stop at 50? Who the hell do you think you are? Telling people above 50, like, I am probably the worst fat crusader. Even though it would fit me, I know people who it wouldn't fit. And they may just have big racks. They may not be fat. They may just, that's their body type. I've known people who are like that, and it's not a big deal. The implication is that 50 is as high as you're going, and it's a double XL. It bugs me. It sticks in my craw. However, I love her stuff. So, and it was free. But I do love her stuff. I love her shawls a lot. So I figure... Wow, that was a really weird flicker. I figure that, I just that I can still review it impartially. I just wanted to put that out there, that if you are above a 50 or a 52, I think it goes up to 52 sometimes, but for the most part it's 50, this may not be the book for you. Unless you are used to doing a lot of the math, the knitting math, which I do not do. I'll do sock math. I won't do advanced knitting math. That's not my thing. Quite frankly, if I'm paying for something, I expect you to do the math for me. But having said that, there are some really nice patterns. This one is a very cute cowl-necked tea-tank. It's a long pullover with a warming cowl, and it goes up to a 50-inch bust. Chest. With 0 to small amounts of positive ease, which is okay. I will say that for this one, here's the other picture of it, where you can really see the cowl and the stitch detail, which is a nice little stitch detail. It kind of looks like a mistake rib. Probably not the best pictures, because you don't really get to see. I think it's a more arty picture where they aren't showing you what you need to see. The schematic gives you more insight. I will say that this book does have a lot of children's patterns and men's patterns and accessories patterns, so if those interest you, then it doesn't really matter what size they go up to. This is a very adorable hat with a cute little chevron detail, and it's a 2-color. There is a boy jacket, but I'm very confused by this particular picture. It doesn't really show off the jacket. It makes it look odd. And then you've got him doing up his button, wearing a scarf. That's just, I am so Canadian. Boys don't wear scarves like girl scarves in Canada. Maybe they do now, but around farmers, I've never seen that happen. I'm wondering if he's mad that his mother made him put on a girly scarf shawl thing. I don't know. What do you think? I know everybody can do whatever they want, and I'm very highly into that. It's just, it's an odd thing to see, and it's knotted weird too. The girl cardigan, of course, is very pretty. Maybe it's the color I'm not a fan of, or maybe it's the peplum. Children in peplums. Children in peplums. Now there's a yellow jacket, which looks really good from this view, right? Like, I look at that and I think that's a cute jacket. What's this thing here? I don't really know, but and then I look at the really the best way to see the outfit or the piece is to look at the measurements and schematics on here, and then you look at the front, and it's got some weird kind of flap. It's a weird flap, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just way too conscious about that area of my body, but I don't want things flapping off. I have a hard enough time keeping food and drink from going on my shirt and my jacket without adding flaps for food and drink and coffee to get caught on. So those are not my favorite. However, this next one blew my mind, and I will probably knit it. And not the best picture, but it's a very simple vest. It goes up to, and see, it tells you, this one only tells you the width of the back, which is 27 3/4. So that would go up pretty decently. 14, 54, so about 55 if you wanted it to be fitting. Again, the finished measurements lead you to believe that that is what it looks like, which is nice, because the other picture is kind of, it's very stylish. It doesn't show off the garment very well. There's a couple more kids patterns which I'm going to gloss through because I don't have children, and it's not something my nieces or nephew would wear. There's a cabled hat like every other cabled hat. There's this cardigan, which has a hood. You don't see the hood in, oh, maybe you see it in the schematic. You don't, is my eyesight poor? I don't see the hood in this picture. I really don't. Maybe it's like right there by her hair there. Is that what it's supposed to be? I really like regardless, I like the hoodie cardigan thing, which goes up to a double XL, which is 50 inches. And it is 18 stitches. This is not too bad. It's DK. It's very cute. There's a man sweater, which would look pretty on any urban man. I would not knit it for my husband because it's got buttons across the sleeves, and that would bug him. He is very picky. If you don't have a picky man, it is pretty. It's got cute stripes, but the buttons, see those buttons? Yeah, that's just not happening. Especially not when the shoulders are possibly the hardest part to knit for my husband because he's got really large shoulders. Which I love, don't get me wrong. They're one of his selling points. But, I mean, you know what I mean. The Effort in red. And of course this was also released in, I believe it's Finnish. Or Swedish? Swedish? It's, where is Vera Välimäki from? Finnish? Swedish? Norwegian. Not Norwegian because it doesn't have the crossed O's. It's released in her native language, which I believe to be Finnish, judging by her name. This one is gorgeous. It goes up to a 50-inch, and it is done in sports. That's what the metric looks like, which makes it beautiful. I need to knit this one. I already decided this one. This one had actually been in my queue before I got the book. Look at those cute little pockets. There we go. Like, I love the pockets on this, and it's got a nice little back. You could probably do that out of handspun and have it come up really nice, because it's simple and easy and possibly seamless. I don't know. Does she say? Short rows with big pockets. I'm going to assume that that means it's contiguous. There's stripy cabled mitts, which are of course adorable if you like mittens, which, by the way, I need to get back to my mittens. Jess is probably kicking my butt. There is a cowl hat combo where you see the hat there and you have to go a little further to find the cowl. I believe this is the cowl, it's just not pictured on a human being and kind of looks like a hat. More children's ensembles. Here you can see both of the children wearing the patterns. One is like a tunic dress and one has stripes. That is the more masculine, I guess. Some more mittens. There's the cowl in action. So the cowl, the mittens, and the hat are all included in this, if those are things that move you. There's a simple tunic dress, which apparently can only be pictured from behind, which also goes up to 50 inches. It's pretty. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty. I like this one, and I'd probably wear it even though I'm a chick. It's very simple. It's got a stockinette block in it. It is it goes up to a 52-inch, and it's done out of Plucky Rustic by the Plucky Knitter. It's Aran weight. It's cute. I like it. There's a really big cowl. I also like this one, kind of. Like, try and make sure so you don't have to see everything. I kind of like that one. It goes up to a 52-inch. This is the only one that goes up to 52, I guess. And it is done out of a sock weight, which probably is also another reason I like it. I like the funnel neck. That is really pretty. It could be the color. I don't know why I like this one so much. It's not really heavily pictured. Like, that's pretty much as good as it's gonna get. But I get the feeling that it would just be really comfy and versatile. There is an adorable hat on a child, and that hat comes in kids, men's, and women's. There is a brief overview of techniques and such, but all in all, it's a good little pattern book as long as you're a smaller person. And by smaller person, I mean 50 inches or less, because that must be what you have to be a small person. Now, how much is it? I suppose it would help if I told you that, right? Now, there are a fair amount of patterns, and if you like to knit for children, or if you have children, because the children's are 2 to 12, I believe, are the sizes in it, you know, that's a pretty good ratio for children. Or at least I find it to be a really good ratio for children when picking up patterns for them, especially since they grow so much. You know, that's what children do. Or if you like a lot of accessories, hats and mitts, there are a fair amount of those, and cowls. It's $16.95 US as a Ravelry download, or it's $26.95 on Amazon or at Cooperative Press. It also has a version that is done in her native tongue, which I believe, okay, I'm going to click on one and it's going to tell me, right, because it'll say in English and Finnish. I was right, it is in Finnish, see, because the one I told you about, see, that's what it's called in Ravelry, because that's its Finnish name, and she published it also in Finnish. Lankeliki. The Finns are going to correct me now. Please do. I don't mind. So, you know, for $16.95, it's a pretty good book. It is. It really is. However, that's my qualm. My qualm's going to run all the way through everything anyway. So now we're into the pointy things. Pointy things. There was no work on Frederick. There was no work on Harumph. I did finish a small one. I did up for a swap, and I may show it after I get it fully finished, FFO'd, which just makes me think fully effed off. FOs always make me think of dirty words. But I did work. Oh, it's not that I didn't do work. It's that the Pumpkin Passport came out, like, right after I finished recording last week. I completely forgot about it until it showed up in my inbox, and I was like, whoa, wait. No, actually, I didn't even see it in my inbox. I was out with the hubby, we were doing something, and I was waiting for some reason, and I looked on Instagram, and someone had started theirs, and I'm like, oh, it came out today. And then I checked my email, and oh, there it is. So I had started as soon as I got home. It is on 14 count Ada that has sparkle in it. I forget what it's called. It's like an antique sparkle or something to that effect. I do not have a needle minder on it, but I have ordered one from Minding My Minders. It's David Bowie. Because I am in full David Bowie swing right now. In fact, I may have to cross-stitch something that involves David Bowie. I'm warning you in advance. I'm going off the Bowie deep end in remembrance, in memoriam of him. So be prepared. So I started over here and worked my way this way because I wanted to. I am a traditionalist when it comes to starting my cross stitches, except for like Hades and stuff where I have to pre-map it out to grid it and stuff so I can start in the corners. I will always start in the center because it's been drilled into my head that that's what you do. So I started in the center and I worked my way over. I did do these borders. This is the whole first page worth of borders here. And I'm going to finish the bottom once I finish this, which only needs one more color. The only thing that isn't in here is the white for these, for the windows, the white clouds up here, the clock face, and her shirt. Everything else is done. There are a couple little screw-ups. I can point them out to you, but where's the fun in that? Where's the fun? There's also going to be a border up here. I will put that on. I wanted to wait to put it on until after I'd finished up here because then I'll count directly up from there. And then January will be done. Once I'm finished January and I've got like some more of these borders done, I'll probably call it quits and then do more in February. Finish the adventure. I don't know. I'm not going to put the bottomest border on until I'm doing that particular row. So I don't know if she's gonna, or if they, it's two ladies, women. I don't know if they are gonna go like 1, 2, 3, 4, or like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what I mean? So I don't know where February is gonna go. I assume it's gonna go here. So I'm just gonna wait and do that as it comes along. It is fun. It is very different to work on Frosted Pumpkin after doing like Frederick or Harumph. Her rumpf is basically confetti, so it's one-offs everywhere, which is bloody annoying. I can't wait until I get to a point where I'm not in confetti. On 22 count 1/1. This is 2/1, by the way. I'm using 2 strands of floss to go over 1x. But it's short color repeats. See, that's the thing. Frederick, I've been using, they're really long color repeats. They're not a lot of short ones. These are very small color repeats, or, well, not color repeats, but, you know, portions of color. So that's something I'm adjusting back to. I'm not sure if it's my preferred method or not. I'm also totally breaking out, and I am aware of the fact that I'm totally breaking out, and it's because, even though I haven't mentioned it lately, I did go down a step on the Nicoderm. So every time you do that, you kind of break out because there's more toxins being released out of your body. It's fun. Yeah. But it's still going strong. I am in week 7, I believe. So, hubby and I went to Joann's to pick up the floss and the Ada for the Pokemon, which, by the way, I did not get all the floss. And I think we did that on the weekend. That might have been what we did on Friday. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I didn't show you or tell you this stuff. Anywho, I did show you the Pokemon cross stitch that is insane. So I had to find a big enough piece. And they had a piece of 18 count Ada that was the right size and width. So I have that. And of course multiple coupons. They also have a military discount. And I know a bunch of it's controversial on the interwebs whether or not you should use a military discount if you're a spouse, and I say if they've got a spouse discount, use it. Okay. Spouses serve just as much as the men or women who are in the actual armed service. You cannot tell me that we don't. Okay, so we aren't over there fighting, but we're here and we're taking care of stuff here, and that is a job in and of itself. Kudos to everybody who has a spouse in the armed forces. Anyway, Joann's now offers their, so does Michael's. Michael's just did it too, but we were at Joann's. So, long story to say, we had maximum couponage. So this did not cost what it says it costed, but I needed to pick it up. And it is, sorry for the glare here, I'm not going to open it yet though. It's the Dream Dancer by Joan Elliott, and I've never seen this one, which is also why I really wanted to pick it up. It was the only one, and I've never seen it, and so it was like 40–50% off that plus 10. It was cheap, and it comes with everything. Although I do have to divide the floss, which luckily is what I always end up doing for my mother. So I am quite adept at doing the whole floss thing. It also came with the beads. It's really pretty, and it's hard to find really pretty Aboriginal things, or First Nation, or Native American, or Indian. I tend to do, because I'm not an American by birth, I'm actually a citizen of North America, utilizing my treaty rights and my J treaty rights. I don't consider myself a Native American, because that's never a term that's been used widely in Canada. It's always been Indian, First Nation, or Aboriginal. And it started off as Indian, and then it changed to First Nations, Aboriginals. So, and it keeps kind of changing and waffling back and forth. I tend to call myself an Indian more often than not. But, so I had seen that, and I went on Amazon and hunted around, because I knew Joan Elliott had a couple of books out, and she does have a book on Native American cross stitch. It is out of print now, so I got this used. It's a hardcover too, which is really nice. I got it used for like $3, so they're not expensive, but you're just not going to be able to find one new. And it's got some lovely patterns. Also, the selling point for me was that In one of, somewhere in one of the reviews or whatever I had read about this, I saw this frontispiece here, which she put in, which says, "To all the Native Americans and their ancestors before them, the treasure of your culture and heritage has graced the land for thousands of years. With reverence and admiration, I thank you for allowing me a brief glimpse into its many wonders." So, lots of respect for a woman who's actually going to admit that she's just bogarting another culture. And I figured, okay, chances are, this is cool. And there are such beautiful, wonderful things in here. There's the Indian Maiden with beads and wonderfulness. The downside is these are really glossy, full color pictures, and so they're going to be, I'm going to have to color scan them and print them to work from them so I don't like screw up the book. There's some gorgeous wall hangings, and I'll probably make some of them for my family. The heavens give us each a song, which is an Ute. It's a Ute because Utah. I should know that. I should really know better. Judge not by the heart, but by the eye. That one is pretty. Words are the voice of the heart, which I can't show you because that would be really hard. The Apache wedding set. I may actually do the Apache wedding right here, and then put in our wedding dates because I could, because I can, and I really like that one. And I'm sure you've seen it everywhere, so I don't need to read that to you. You've got baby blankets, which this one's beautifully generic. It says, "Children are a gift from the heavens," and it's got a little owl and a raccoon and stuff, so it's not gendered, so you don't really have to know if the kid's a boy or a girl. I just think it's really pretty. There's a bunch of gorgeous borders. There's sunflower borders, which are going to be on everything, you know, because I have a sunflower fetish because of Harold and Maude. There's an alphabet with Aboriginal things on them, which is really cool. I might do that up. That would be good for little kids too. There's a sewing collection one, which has a sewing basket top, a needle book, and a pin keep, and a fob for scissors. It's based off Navajo designs. And actually, I'm going to go back for a sec here. Okay, I might just make this just to have it, because she's sitting there and she's weaving on a loom. It's a floor loom, but she's weaving. She be weaving. What knitter? Fiber artist person. Although who doesn't weave? Wouldn't like something with weaving. We are each a thread in the web of life, strengthened by the promises of our dreams, which is Hopi. The book also opens with a quote by Chief Seattle, who of course is what Seattle's named after. I live very close to where he is interred. There's the desert flowers. I know I'm showing you everything in here. But I really like it. There's also Crow Gifts of Wisdom, so these are more wall hangings, and they have keep the warmth of the sun in your heart, be kind to everything that lives, be known by the tracks you leave, be gentle as the spring rain, walk tall as the trees, live strong as the mountains. I really like them, and I find them aesthetically pleasing, and I will probably make everything in this book, even the Indian warrior, who by the way has a staff. That's some warriorage right there. Just a staff. But they don't look cliche, and I appreciate that. So if you're into that kind of stuff, or if you want to explore Native American heritage via cross-stitch, you can. You just have to buy a used copy off of Amazon. They are not expensive. I got one of the cheaper ones, but you can get one of the more expensive ones too. I will probably kit those up, but I want to do the one I have that came with the kit already. I'm really glad it didn't have that one in it, because that means I get more. This is a really long episode. I'm pretty sure that's everything I meant to say this week. I've done... double checking. Yeah, that's everything. Everything I had to say. Well, I will check everybody next week. I hope you have a great week, a great weekend. I hope you had a good Martin Luther King Day. I'm not sure if you celebrate Martin Luther... what do you do on Martin Luther King Day? Have a reverent moment for the struggle of civil rights. But I hope you have a good week in the coming week, and I will see you next, probably Friday. Bye.